Destined Rivals is overhyped for what it is. It's a good set, but is it really worth what the products are at right now? I truly believe Destined Rivals, while it might be a very good set, we have still yet some cards to be revealed. I understand we don't have the full set yet, but I really feel like this is going to be a set where a lot of people lose money because people right now, I feel like, are too euphoric about this set. It's the best set ever. It's going to the moon. It's not going to drop in price. I should buy now. All these sorts of thoughts in this euphoria is going to lead to a lot of losses for some people. Because I think if people really have this idea that prices are not going to drop pretty drastically for this set, I would be worried for those people. Because I get it. We're in a strong market. A lot of people like to use the arguments that the market's too strong. People will pay whatever. All these sorts of things. But there's a thing called buyer fatigue that I want to talk about here. And I feel like at the prices we're at right now, I feel like they could go higher on pre-order. But when the set gets released, I think we're going to see some pretty big price drops. Something we've never really seen from previous sets because we've never seen products get this expensive before on release. So let me just first, I guess, talk about my opinion about this being overhyped. Like I said, I think this is a good set. But really, the price of the products, look at what's in the set. If it wasn't for this whole market, if it wasn't for this whole hype thing with Destined Rivals because it's a Team Rocket set, really look at this set, guys. Yes, we have some Misty cards, whatever, right? We have this Roserade, and we have a couple of like nice SARs. But really, you think this booster box is worth $400 right now? It's really not. Like, this is a good set, but it's not that good to $400. I know there's still cards to be revealed in the set. I think there's supposed to be a Rocket's Mewtwo in here or whatever. I know there's still a lot of Team Rocket cards that are probably going to be revealed, and it's going to make the set better. Sure, but even then, I don't care what card comes out. $400 for a booster box as of right now, 2 months away from release, is ridiculous. And I truly believe people will believe that this is a good price point, and prices may continue to jump up because people thinking $400 is a good price point. They will buy. It will move prices up on pre-order. But when that day comes, when the day of release comes for Destined Rivals, I really believe people buying at $400, $500, $600, whatever this goes to, I believe those people will lose a lot of money, especially those buying in large amounts. So moving on to guess this thing with buyer fatigue. I understand this market is super strong. A lot of people in this euphoria, things just always go up. Now, I feel like some people overestimate though what people are willing to pay, and that's where I want to talk about buyer fatigue. People are only willing to pay so much, okay? I know some people are paying these prices, but a lot of these people, I think, are just sort of, not very thoughtful with prices. And I guess what I'm going to say here, yes, like I said, this may continue to go up to $500, $600, and in theory, it may seem like a good investment if you pre-order at $400, and let's say before it gets released, it goes to $600. It may seem like you've done very well, but like I said, when the set gets released, it's going to be a very different story because every single product drops in price on release. And I feel like when a price of a product like this booster box, if it gets to $600 or something crazy like that, there's going to be some massive drops we've never seen before, even with this set being very hyped up. It's Team Rocket, whatever. So going back to buyer fatigue, like I said, people are only willing to pay so much for a product, okay? And when a booster box, a newly released booster box, is $500 to $600, not many people are going to be willing to pay that much. Even for older boxes, people aren't willing to pay $500, $600 a box. If you go back to Sword and Shield, which I know it's not as hyped up as Scarlet and Violet, yeah, you can make that argument that maybe it's not the best comparison. But even then, not many people are willing to pay $500 for a Fusion Strike box. Not many people are willing to pay maybe $1,300 for an Evolving Skies booster box. Because why? It's expensive, right? And when you're talking about a new product, even if it's hyped up, not that many people are going to spend $500 on a booster box. Yet, even $400, I don't think many people are going to pay. Yet, there are people buying it. But like I said, pre-order and, when this actually comes out, they're very different. And that's where I feel like people are going to get this euphoria. They're going to buy it at $400. They're going to buy it at $500. Let's say this thing goes to $600. The games might seem great. People will accept those pre-orders. People will pay for them. They will get them to their house. But when this set gets released, I'm telling you, we're going to see some pretty big price drops we've never seen. And that's where people will pull back a lot. And I feel like people will get discouraged from this market. And that's where I actually really believe these price points we're seeing at on pre-order and how high they're at right now, 2 months away. If this continues to go higher, honestly, this whole talk about crashes, bubbles, I really don't think this market is going to crash, right? Because I think demand is still pretty strong and I feel like the demand is pretty organic. But prices being this high to me is a little bit scary. And I feel like when prices are this high and if they get higher, I feel like talks about crashes, about bubbles, I feel like it's more relevant. Because people, when they actually lose money, when they buy a booster box of Destined Rivals at 400 thinking it's a good investment, and when that release date comes, let's say it goes to 600 bucks, they're happy, right? They're ready to get their pre-order, they're ready to flip this. When that price drops from 600 to theoretically, right? I don't know what's going to drop to let's say 300 bucks, and they bought at 400. People buying on credit cards, people aren't very smart with their money. When they lose money in Pokemon, that's where I think things will pull back. I think people who buy 400, if it goes down to 300, they'll be like, okay, it went down to 300. I'm scared. I don't want to lose any more. I'm just gonna sell. And that's where we're gonna see some major dumps. Now, this is all theory, right? I'm not saying this is actually gonna happen, but that's just a scenario and kind of what I'm trying to say here. We're buying at these prices. It's super risky, and honestly, prices this high, price crashes and these sorts of talks are a lot more relevant, and that's why it's sort of scary. And honestly, just this whole market right now and prices being this high for these new releases, I don't like it because it makes the market, in my opinion, a lot more just volatile. Seeing these, we might see some crazy price drops we've never seen, like I said, and I think that could turn the market around. In some ways, maybe it's good. Maybe we should see some pullback, but I wish it wasn't this expensive. I wish things weren't this bad because I feel like if where I'm going with this, where if prices get that high and people lose money, I think people lose confidence, and that's where we might just see some things happen with this market that we've never seen, even though we're in this euphoria. So, if you're buying at these price points, I really want to buy as an investment. Maybe if you just want to buy a box, secure one at 400, and you're thinking, this may go up to 500, maybe it goes to 300, whatever. I just want one. Sure, if you're just buying one for your collection, whatever. But if you're investing and you're trying to invest heavily into Destined Rivals, which I believe a lot of people are, and you're buying at this price point, you got to be very careful, okay? Because I think the euphoria is kind of clouding some people's minds. And I think Destined Rivals, it's going to be the most hyped up set, but it's also going to be the set that people lose the most money on, ironically, right? And I think Journey Together, although it is a little bit of a different set, it's smaller, it's not as hyped up, there are some lessons to be learned about Journey Together. So moving on from Destined Rivals and showing, I guess, this stuff, you can see here the sales and stuff. Yeah, they've sold for 400, whatever. ETBs have gone down from 350 though to 200. Still very expensive because more people have listed, but still $200 for a normal Elite Trainer box is crazy. Now, going to Journey Together and what I'm trying to make a comparison here, and I guess what to learn and apply to Destined Rivals is price drops happen. Okay, we're in this market super strong. I know Journey Together is not as hyped up, but it still was. I mean, this set still was pretty hyped up. Cards in here still pretty good, right? I know it's smaller, some people hate on it, but I think it's a pretty good set still. These booster boxes at one point were 300 bucks, okay? They hit 300, people bought them, but they went all the way down to like 250 just before release, and then now they're at like 230. So not crazy price drops, but think about it. That was when the booster box was 300. It dropped from 300, from its peak to 230, okay? So it's, pretty big price drop, but not extreme, right? But think about Destined Rivals, what price drop that's going to be when it reaches like maybe 500, 600 bucks, right? Where is that price drop going to be? Probably a lot bigger, right? ETBs, they dropped from 125 peak to $80. Pretty big price drop. It was expected though, because obviously I told you guys my take on it. People find them at Walmart's, Targets, Best Buys, whatever, flip them from retail. Prices drop pretty significantly because markets get flooded, and that's exactly what happened. So think about the Destined Rivals ETB, right? It's at what, 200 right now? People are going to find them at Walmart's, Targets. Think about that price drop. Probably pretty crazy, right? And you look at the cards too. Clefairy, dropped pretty significantly from 350 to now what, like 230. Pretty big price drop. So, I'm just making, I guess, journey together an example here that price drops happen. It doesn't matter how strong this market is. Price drops happen. Same thing happened with surging. Prices did drop. Not that much for booster boxes, granted, but prismatic prices dropped pretty significantly, even with all the hype, right? Prismatic, probably the most hyped up thing, right? Crazy stuff going on with the market, with people, fights, and everything. Still, ETBs dropped from 150 to 100. All these other products dropped pretty significantly. It's going to happen, okay? I don't care how hyped up Destined Rivals is. I know there's going to be people out there saying that it's not going to drop and all these sorts of things. If you really think this booster box, and we're still 2 months away, so it's really hard to say where this is going to go, but let's say theoretically this goes to $500, right? If you really don't think things are going to drop pretty significantly from there, I would be worried for you. I honestly think this is just some sort of, estimate or theoretical scenario, right? If booster boxes do get to $500 before getting released, I think it's possible that they could drop to 300. So what price drop is that like? So if it's 500, so that'd be like what, a 40% drop. If it goes from 500 to 300, yeah, it's like a 40% drop. I think that could happen. Okay, if they go to that extent and that high of a price point for booster boxes, I think it's very possible that we could see Destined Rivals drop 40% from 500 to 300, because at that point I feel like prices will be so high that no one's going to pay for it. People that bought tons of it will see that no one's buying it at 500. They're going to list lower and lower, and then obviously it's the race to the bottom. Everyone sells, even with the strength of the market, because I seriously think some people overestimate what people will pay in the strength of this market, and I think those are the people that will lose the most money with Destined Rivals, thinking it's never going to drop, buying at 400, it's going to go to 500, 600, whatever, it's not going to drop, and I'm going to flip it, make a lot of money. I think a lot of people have that mindset, and a lot of people are buying in at these prices thinking that this market is super strong and people will pay $500-$600 for a new release, because honestly, I think there are people out there like that, but that's not me. I'm very bullish on this market, right? I've been pretty open about that. I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, I'm invested very heavily into some of these sets like prismatic, but there are some limitations. There are levels of, I guess, just prices where to be confident about some of these prices I think is risky, and I feel like that applies to Destined Rivals very heavily here, because there's just so much hype around it, and I really feel like the prices that we're seeing, it's nothing like we've seen before, right? Journey Together ETBs were 120. I thought that was crazy. They're at 200 for Destined Rivals. Like, seriously, the prices are nothing compared to anything we've seen previously, and therefore, like I said, prices will drop the most for Destined Rivals, even with all this hype. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens with Destined Rivals, how high prices get to on pre-order and how much they drop on release, because I'm telling you, we're going to see probably some Reddit posts, some people losing a lot of money because people won't buy their booster box for $500. I think it's going to happen, and I think this, depending how much things drop for Destined Rivals and how much some people may lose money, we may see the market turn, honestly, if that happens, because in this market so far, I don't think many people have lost money, because we haven't seen major price drops, and the small price drops we've seen for some of these products, things have gone back up. But for Destined Rivals, I feel like where this is going and where the prices are now, it's very scary. That's all I'm going to say. And the more prices go up, the more scared I get, honestly, for this market. And it's ridiculous. Okay, like, be careful out there. I know this market is euphoric, but there are limitations. There are some prices people are not going to be willing to pay. And I think that will apply to Destined Rivals more than any other set. So, Destined Rivals, currently what the prices are at, I don't know if I'm going to get any booster boxes or any products for the price points that I was willing to pay. I told you guys, Destined Rivals, for booster boxes, I'm willing to pay low 200s, maybe mid 200s, but I'm not paying $400. Like, that's crazy, right? I'm willing to pay low 200s because I believe, just based on Journey Together, that's a pretty safe price point to buy at. ETBs, I'm probably willing to pay like $80 to $100. But other than that, I'm not paying higher. I'm not paying 300. I'm not paying 400, because I seriously think where we're at, where these prices are headed, prices are going to drop significantly. And I'm not trying to hold these boxes at $300, because I really think that's not a good price point, and I think it's pretty risky. So that's all I wanted to talk about with Destined Rivals. I think it's a hyped up set that will make people lose a lot of money, because people will believe things are stronger than they really are. So that's all I wanted to say. Let me know your opinions down below about Destined Rivals. Do you think it's going to continue to go up and stay at the crazy prices, or do you think it's going to drop pretty significantly because prices are so high, higher than we've seen ever before? Let me know down in the comments below what you think about that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.